All right. Next one, we'll go to Patreon for. So this one comes in from Wyatt. Says, "Hey Adam, do you think the Jays take the gamble and sign Cody Bellinger to a multi-year deal? And if he's complete garbage in 2023, would that lead to Ross Atkins being canned?"
So let's start with the last question.
Okay.
I'm going to just straight up say no. What do you think?
No, not at all.
Ross
I
Atkins, everybody, is under contract for 4 more years. And I think that there's at least a year, maybe 2, before the heat is high enough on Mark Shapiro to fire his boy, right? Like, this is his guy. He brought him with him from Cleveland when he came over in 2016 as the new president of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, and if we're talking about a multi-year deal for Cody Bellinger, it's going
There
to
would be an
be
opt-out.
there's going to be an opt-out or there's going to be a real discount attached to it. It's going to be a creative contract. I've seen options or suggestions out there that it would be maybe a 2-year, $16 million deal with a
8 mil a
player
year with an
opt-out.
opt-out. Yeah.
Yeah, with an opt-out for Cody. So the idea there being it's low risk for the Jays. Worst case scenario, he still sucks. We pay him 8 mil a year for 2 years.
And
Best
then
case
he opts
scenario,
in.
he's an MVP this year, opts out and gets to retest free agency and go, see, I'm a star again. Now gets his big payday. But in the case that he's garbage and we sign him to a multi-year deal, like if he's getting term, if he's getting 4 or 5 years, it's going to be for like $30 million. It'll be so
Yeah.
cheap in order for the
Yeah.
Jays to actually make a long term deal like that, given his most recent 3 years statistically. So that being said, even if that's the case and he's garbage, I don't think we're going to be setting that much money on fire to the point where Ross Atkins' job is in jeopardy. Now, what I
No.
do think is back to the last guy we were talking about, Brandon Nemo. That is a more likely situation, and I still don't think that's likely. That
Yeah.
if we give Brandon Nemo, Namo,
Nimo.
Nimo, hashtag Hyman. That's an old throwback for
Yeah.
the fans been with us a long time. If we sign him to 6 years, 142 million, and we recognize next year or the year after that, oh no, here we go, injuries again. This guy can't stay on the field. What have we done? That's a more consequential uh, red mark on Ross Atkins than a high upside, low risk deal for Cody Bellinger, in my opinion. Am I
So
out to lunch on this?
let's no, I agree with you. Let's talk Bellinger really quick here. I know that just yesterday we were even going to do a video about it, and we're like, I can't bring. We did a video about Bellinger 3 days ago about him being a possibility with the Jays. Every single time, some friggin'
There's a lot more
Balboa
smoke.
bomb or
There's a lot more smoke
molester
about it
comes up
now,
with a
but
yeah.
yeah, until there's
Anyways,
actual flames, we'll hold off on that clickbait for Cody Bellinger. I still think he's a good fit, but
now
this
if Cody Bellinger has the demand that he must be guaranteed starting center fielder position, where are you at? Are you looking at this Toronto Blue Jays 2023 and the fact that their goal is a World Series? Do you think that a guy who hasn't hit in 2 years is worth the risk? Now, I'm just going to, before you answer that, I'm going to read you something here from at Views on the Six on Twitter.
Okay.
All they put was Bradley Zimmer, 2021 to 2022, 208
I
games
already
played.
hate where you're going with this.
208 games played, 18 stolen bases, a 1.3 B WAR. And for those of you who are like, what's F WAR? What's B WAR? Just so you know, F WAR is Fangraph's version of wins above replacement. B WAR is Baseball Reference wins above replacement.
And which
They're
one is
just
it?
the two competing sites.
They're very similar, but which one is adjusted for weather? I can't remember which one that is. All right. I don't care about either one.
Okay, so Zimmer's in those 208 games. His batting average was 201. His on-base percentage was 295, slugging 314, a 610 OPS, and a 70 OPS plus, which means he's 30% below the average.
Okay.
Cody Bellinger, 2021 to 2022, 239 games played, so a few more games, 17 stolen bases, a negative 0.4 B WAR. So he literally cost the Dodgers wins. An batting average of 193, an on-base percentage of 256, a slug of 355, and a 611 OPS, 64 OPS plus. So 35. And basically that's all he put. But my guess is the point of this is if you're going to spend $16 million on Cody Bellinger and he's going to be Bradley Zimmer, you might as well have spent $2 million on 2 years of Bradley Zimmer, who is already Bradley Zimmer.
No, absolutely wrong. I hate this so much. I can't argue with the numbers since, what was it? Since 2020?
Yes.
Okay.
210 games played
All right.
around for both.
All right. All right. All right. But what is the okay, what I'm so worked up right now. What is the actual chances? What is the actual chances that Bradley Zimmer over the next 10 years of his career gets a single MVP vote? A single MVP vote. Is it zero? Is it less than zero? I think it's less than zero.
Obviously.
Okay.
I'm well
Cody
aware of
Bellinger already
Bellinger's
has
ceiling.
an MVP. This is what I'm saying. Is like,
Yes.
sure, the floor is there, right? If we're gonna spend 2 million, what's another 6 for Cody Bellinger? The point is, Cody Bellinger literally one of the difference makers on the Dodgers getting a World Series.
True. And we even
Brad,
talked about his ability to still show up in the playoffs is actually mind-blowing. Like 2020, he had 4 home runs and really helped lead that team to the World Series. And his 2020 wasn't very good. 2021, he was god-awful, some injury problems. He showed up in that playoffs as well. He hit 350 in the 2021 playoffs. Now, 2022, he had more his shoulder. This is the thing. Is his shoulder fucked, dude? Like, is it done?
let's get him down to Dunedin, man. Let's get him to that facility and let's figure that out. But I'm willing to roll the dice on it.
Now,
Like,
we've talked about this before because I feel the same way. I'm all for bringing Cody Bellinger in. I'm just not for him being given an everyday spot in center field.
okay,
If he's going to take Raimel Tapia's 4th outfielder spot and play 140 games bouncing around the outfield and being used as a defensive, because his defense is great, but
I'm not a contract expert, but I don't know how you would even make that a formal stipulation of his contract. Like, I understand, like, when Ha-Sung Kim came over from Japan, he wanted to go to a team where he was guaranteed he wasn't going to get sent down, right? Got to stay on the 26-man active roster as long as I'm healthy. If that's the condition with Cody Bellinger, sure, right? But I don't know how you would even put that in a contract that, yeah, you're going to be out on the field for 9 innings every single game. So I don't think that that's a realistic formal guarantee. Am I out to lunch here? I could see you already making a face.
no, I don't disagree with you. I don't think it would be written in the contract. I think that it would be verbalized at the negotiation table, and I think that it would be something that they would weigh between teams, right? So if you're Boris and you're going to the Blue Jays and you're saying, listen, Cody wants to be an everyday player, such and such a team is saying that they won't do that, such and such a team is saying they won't do that. If you match their money and guarantee 130 games if he's healthy, whatever it may be, that he's going to lean towards you. Do I actually think that they're going to have a stipulation in the contract? Of course not.
Even in an informal way, I would do that if that means we're going to give him less money. Like, if this is a Cody Bellinger if this is the approach, if I'm Cody Bellinger and I go, I want to bet on myself this year, right? I want a 2-year deal, but I want an opt out after one, and I'm going to ball out. And the only way that I can really prove my worth is by playing every day. Okay, if you're willing to take less money, like if the deal was going to be 8 million a year, you're a fourth outfielder, but you want to bet on yourself and come here for 5 million a year, and we'll guarantee that you're the starting outfield. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that.
I think too that in Bellinger's case, you would hope that his confidence isn't so shot that he doesn't think he can play his way on. So let's take a look at this Blue Jays outfield. Right now, it's pretty much a guarantee of George Springer and Lourdes Gurriel Jr., and that's pretty much all that's on the book. So let's do some dreaming here. Let's say they actually do wind up going out and getting Brandon Nimmo for 5 years, $120 million. So now you've got pretty much your everyday outfield in place. Now, remember, Raimel Tapia played over 140 games for this team as the fourth outfielder.
Yep.
Both Tapia and Zimmer are gone. Okay, so let's say Cody Bellinger looks at these starting three and already knows that as the fourth outfielder, he's going to see a lot of time. He also sees that the Blue Jays are trying desperately to balance this lineup and add some lefty bats with some impact within the batting order. Okay, so you look at that, you look at Lourdes Gurriel Jr., and maybe you don't think to yourself as Cody Bellinger, you can knock off Nimmo or Springer, but you look at Gurriel and you're like, okay, well, they should put me in against lefties at least. And Gurriel has had some injury problems, and he's also a very streaky hitter. Maybe I can play more than Lourdes Gurriel Jr. can. And like Gurriel's going to make $5 million this year. So if he's being paid $5 million and you're kind of your third/fourth outfielders are Gurriel and Bellinger at, let's say, $8 million a year, I'm all for that. And then you make up for that by, let's say, Otto Lopez is your fifth outfielder, your utility dude. He's going to make the league minimum, and that way you're not spending any money on that bench piece. I'm all for that.
You keep jamming Brandon Nimmo in there, and
I don't want Bellinger as the lone dude. I want I want an established.
Okay. No matter what we do, I guess you can't just go through the season with 3 outfielders, especially when George Springer is one of them. As much as moving him to right field is hopefully, in theory, going to ease up the workload on his body, he's still going to have 40 to 80 games at DH next year.
Yeah.
Right? 142 million
the dream.
for
80's
Nimmo.
the dream, right? Because if he's DHing 80 games, he's playing 150.
Yeah, 142 million is a lot to give a guy who's only played more than 100 games twice in his career. I'm still gun shy about Nimmo. I hope I'm wrong on that, Scott. I really do. But again, back to the Cody Bellinger thing. This is how you win. Like these are the unsexy moves that, if they pan out, are the difference makers. If they don't pan out, it's not much of a setback, right? But I don't know. You play fantasy sports at all?
Of course.
All right. I'm a fantasy football guy. This is how you win your league, is not with, drafting a good guy in the first round who turns out to be a good guy. Like, of course, you can't win your league in the first round of the draft. Where you win the league is when you draft Tom Brady as a 41-year-old quarterback in the 11th round who outperforms everyone and is like the second best quarterback in the league, and you got him for a steal. This is our Cody Bellinger. This is where guys like him, or you know what? Actually, I was texting with my brother. He wants two of the following 3: Cody Bellinger, Brandon Nimmo, or Joey Gallo.
Oh, and gross. I knew it was going to be Joey Gallo.
I wanted to hate it. But Joey Gallo, I think next year is going to be in a perfect comparable to Cody Bellinger this year. Especially like once the shift is banned and we legislate baseball into making Joey Gallo a good player. Give me Joey Gallo on a discount, man. Like,
I will have some real internal demons to set aside if Joey Gallo is brought to the Blue Jays.
I know. All right. Well,
All right,
that's a
let's
great
move
note to end
along.
that
We
one
could
on
talk
for
this all
sure.
day. I'm not disagreeing with you, by the way. I like
I
Cody
know.
Bellinger. I just disagree with you as getting him as our sole center fielder and the replacement for Teoscar. I just don't like that. Now,
All
giving
right.
him a flyer as the fourth outfielder and seeing if he can play his way into the everyday guy and put Lourdes on the bench, hey, I'm all for it.
Hey, I'm all for it. All right. That's a good one. Let's end that there and move on to the next one then.
We really appreciate all of you within the walk-off community. This thing continues to grow and become an animal of its own. It's a little bit overwhelming, but honestly, we love talking Blue Jays baseball and all the interaction that you folks are involved with us. Thank you so much. Discord, feel free to join it. That is always free. The show or the link is in the show notes. You can follow us on Twitter at Walk Off Podcast, on Instagram, the Walk Off Podcast. And if you are watching on YouTube currently and you're not subscribed, we'd really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button. All the best, everybody. Cheers.